So that's the job. And to be perfectly honest, that's what I thought was, interesting about that job was you were going, you were understandably in a possible sacrificial situation to save some of the hostages, because if you don't, they're all going to die. And yeah, I just thought that was the attraction of the job to me.
Yeah.
Again, probably just because I was super self-destructive at the time. Yeah, more about that later. But that's what the job is, and they will not. If you look at any hostage rescue throughout history, and there's some really interesting ones, generally you're losing at least one hostage and at least one counterterrorism operator.
That's insane.
Very, very few lose. I don't know if any have lost 0 of each. That I'd have to research it. But
wow, that's wild.
Well, there are some hostages on the 2nd floor. The intel's never going to be perfect, ever.
The clock will be fucking ticking. What about soul letters? Here? And here?
So you're supposed to.
Always fight down, right?
what do you say?
Always fight down.
Oh yeah,
I've never heard that before. Tell you
Excuse
something.
me.
I haven't either, but it makes sense.
Makes sense.
Based on the intel that we have right now,
This is what I love about this movie. We have phases of planning that they're taking us through. The first phase is just, you guys are good luck. And then second phase, young man comes up with a great plan. I don't know where he came up, always fight down, but it makes sense to me when I heard it. And then he's like, okay, well, let's fight down, come from the roof, get to them, and then we only have to fight down from there, which is half of what we would have had to fight up and then come back down to get out.
Well, yeah, and it's not perfectly explained in this, but the important part is that he's basically saying to make entry where the hostages are, because if you have to work your way up, even if it was starting up and going down, the reality is when you're doing a hostage rescue, the most important thing is cutting the delay between the blowing of the surprise and the proximity to the hostages.
Makes sense.
You need to reduce the time from they know you're assaulting to the time you're arriving at the hostages. That window is their time to kill them without you being able to stop it. So what you're trying to do is get entry to the closest point of proximity to the hostages.
Good
and that's
point.
essentially what
He's saying. You go right in there.
and he's saying go right in the room where they're at.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Love it.
The other thing I want to say, because this is, it's been a while since I've seen this movie, but this happened to me. So this is my true story, first mission with the unit, which was actually it was a hostage rescue, and they had moved them, so they weren't there. But it was a hostage rescue in the planning. And my first mission with the unit, I had deployed as a ranger before, but we go through the whole plan. I'm like sitting there, and then afterwards, my team leader looks at me and he goes, "You got anything?" And I was like, "Me? Nope. We're good."
Yeah.
So he's, I'm good. Happy with the plan. Awesome. And he goes, "Okay." And I was kind of like, "That's weird. Why the hell did he ask me?" And so later, when we had a moment, I asked him. I said, why'd you ask my opinion? And I'll never forget it. He was a great leader, and he said, "Just because you're new doesn't mean you don't have something to offer." And I'll never forget that. And I was like, it's so true.
It is. And we talk about that all the time. We're like, new guys, shut up. New guys, shut up. Because you don't want to speak when it's not your turn as a new guy. But at the same time, as a good leader, you could identify, he may be a new guy on this team, but he's a really intelligent human being, an adult and warfighter. And if that guy had the thing that could make that mission successful, and you used your little new guy games and missed it, damn, that would suck.
Yeah. One of my things I loved about that place was that no matter where you were at in that chain, your opinion was always heard.
That's cool.
And that was also, and look, there's, rank, in the military and all that. What I loved also about being there was we called each other on the first name basis. And just because everyone had rank, it didn't mean, like, I didn't need someone to have rank. Someone didn't need to have rank over me for me to know they were in charge. You know what I mean? It was, they were in charge because they were in the position of a leader and they had the experience, and the way they acted as a leader, I respected them. So there was never a question that they were in charge, but they would listen if I had an opinion. And at the end of the day, did they have to go with it? No, they're the leader, but everyone had a say in what the team was doing. And therefore everyone had buy-in.
I love that. Because at the end of the day, it's about mission success. Like, we can play the new guy games all we want, but if we're failing, we're all failing together.
Well, yes, and it's one thing if you're doing, an advertising campaign. It's like, no, shut up, new guy, we're doing it this way. But when everyone's life's on the line, it's really important that everyone has their voice heard, so they have that buy-in on the day to where,
that's a good point.
You know what I mean? It's like your life's on the line. Therefore, you really should be heard.
That's a really, really good point, because you go in and you get shot, you're sitting there bleeding. You're like, I was just following you guys.
Yeah.
Like, no, sir. We gave you a chance. You were just bought into this as much as we did. I never thought about it that way, but that's a good point.
I had an idea that would have mitigated this.
I might not have got shot.
I had a better plan.
I was like, Tom and I, the team sergeant was like, hey, these guys are bunkered over here. Let's go shoot them. And I was like, hey, guys, like, how about we don't, and we just hit them with the aircraft, let the aircraft take care of them, because the Apaches are above. They'll take 2 seconds. We have to do a foot patrol all the way over to them, get in a gunfight, and then hope we don't lose anybody. Does anyone else think this is a stupid idea, or is it just me? And Tom looks at me and goes, it's a stupid idea, but we want to do it. And I was like, okay, fine, let's go. And so we did it. And what happened? We almost got shot. The dog guy almost got shot. We missed everything. The team sergeant threw a grenade, blew a cloud of dust, so everyone missed their shots. He lived, almost killed our dog guy, and it was a complete disaster. So, I was right, but like you said, I felt like I had buy-in because my voice was heard.
Yeah. You knew what it was about.
I knew what it was about.
Yeah.
So I was committed, and I didn't get mad at anybody that it went to shit.
Yeah. Well, you took, you're like, well, I still did it.
Yep, let's go. Okay, so one last thing I want to say on that planning thing is, as the plan is getting better, it's still not perfect, right? Because even though he had to get into the hostages, that was a huge improvement.
Yeah.
But one thing they didn't deal with was the go to hell explosives that the terrorists had set up.
Yep.
So you didn't deal with the explosives in that plan. It's still the best plan available, but you still haven't dealt with the explosives. And that's important to say because the plan evolves next.
Give him a bus. Gonna let him take the hostages to Heathrow, and then we're gonna take the bus.
Piece of fucking cake.
You're a dead man walking.
All right, so a couple things. One, I want to mention, and then two, I want to hear from you. So the third plan now is my favorite plan. They dealt with the explosives. They said, give them the buses that they're asking for. Let them take the buses to the airport, and then we assault the buses at the airport. Now we've dealt with all the explosives that they put in place for their go to hell plan. We've dealt with, we've gotten them moving. We've gotten them out of the booby trap spot. Fucking phenomenal how they keep evolving the plan as they're going. And then next, all the effort that they put into this. I just assume that you guys do this as tier 1 operators, and that I'm so jealous of it, is that every time you come up with a plan, it's like full mission profile testing. Is that how that goes?
If you have time, yes. If you have time, yes. This is a rare situation where they have the time to set up this level of training. Usually, I can tell you, I never, for a single mission, had this level of time. Everything was go. That literally most missions were TSTs. They run in the room, fucking tell you to get on a helicopter. You get on a helicopter. You're getting the mission brief on the mic as you're flying in. That was about half missions. The other half, we were, never had time to train. for them.
What movie was that? Was that SEAL Team or was that a movie
Where?
where we were watching it and they were on the aircraft getting the mission brief in their headphones? I was like, that's wild.
I'm not sure.
It might have been SEAL Team or it was definitely a
Yeah,
recent
I'm
war
not
movie.
sure.
And I was like, that's freaking crazy that he's literally getting it in his ears. And then you said,
Yeah, we would. Yeah, that was pretty common. Just hearing, what we're doing on the flight. But the
Bad?
what's that?
Was it Landed Bad?
it might have been Land of Bad
I
when
haven't seen that one.
they're on the it's with what's his name's little brother, Thor's little brother,
Hemsworth.
Yeah,
Okay,
Hemsworth.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
Crowe, yeah.
Russell Crowe. So yeah, I think it was Land of Bad that they're on the
Okay.
aircraft getting the mission brief.
Yeah, that was.
and they were supposed to be a Delta unit or a tier one
Okay.
unit.
Well, yeah, that happened relatively often. This I can tell you, I do know of missions that I wasn't a part of that this happened where they had the time to run scenarios, but usually this is rare. This is rare, but this situation is rare. You had a 30-day siege, so they're practicing for 30 days before they hit. I can tell you, and it's out there in public knowledge, but they did scenarios for the UBL hit because they were planning that before they assaulted. So they practiced on a full-scale mock-up. They ran scenarios, they ran plans. Wasn't a hostage rescue, but they did have the time to run plans.
Which is amazing.
Yeah. So, but again, that's
That's
unusual.
best case scenario.
That's best case scenario. I'm going to say this. I personally don't think it matters to a large degree. And the reason I'm saying that is because you can plan all you want, but the enemy has a say, and nothing is ever going to go according to plan. So no matter how much you plan, you really, at the end of the day, it's going to be how flexible your unit is in adjusting to the conditions on the ground.
And how well you guys work together. and-
Look at the UBL hit. They rehearsed. Helicopter crashes.
yeah, didn't plan
It
for that.
literally threw off the entire assault because now one team, you know what I mean? So literally that crash literally threw off the entire plan. So
Yeah, we were in Afghanistan pushing a valley, and it was 2-1 and 2-6, and the whole plan was to leapfrog.
Yeah.
Well, we leapfrog. The Rangers were supposed to be up in the valley dropping mortars to soften the infill. Well, we leapfrog. 2-1 takes a casualty. We lost a guy, so they're out. Rangers, something happened where they couldn't make it to there. So then 2-6 leapfrog into being by ourselves.
yeah.
And it's just how you're right. It's just how it goes.
My
Shit
favorite
happens.
term is a plan is a list of things that don't happen.
It's 100% true.
Oh my. Looks like happy families then.
One thing that kind of struck me about this is how it seems like if you're going to operate in this environment, you need to detach your ego from your plans and roll with the punches, because you guys are the higher you get to the top, I only imagine, is the closer you get to civilians. Think about a private, the level of separation between a private and regular army and
I see what you're saying.
and a
Yeah,
civilian.
Yeah.
But as you get to the top, you're having to work closer and closer with those civilians, and those civilians are making decisions based on political moves and
Yeah.
politics
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how it looks. And
You understand the game at a fundamentally different level, for sure.
yeah, okay, because these guys are like having to be like, okay, this is a plan, this is a good plan, and then some politician says we don't like how that looks, and then they're having to completely detach from that and rework it based on something that most people would argue as the dumbest reason possible is outward appearances.
Yeah, that comes into play heavily once you get to missions that are having direct visibility to U.S. policies and objectives. It's definitely it's definitely factored in.
Yeah, and I can't imagine. It's got to be something that you have to just accustom yourself to and be like, listen, It may not be what we chose because we didn't choose to be politicians, but you choose to go high enough up that scale, you're going to be at least understanding of politicians because they're going to affect some way, shape, or form your mission set.
100%. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's. I'll say, I think people would be surprised if they knew how much politics affected missions at that level. If that makes sense.
100%. And that's what they're showing in this is every time the politician's like, we don't like how this is going to look, or we don't like how this is going to feel, or the perspective of this, and then it's changing everything the operators have to do, and now they're re-rehearsing an entirely new plan.
I mean, the amount of things that we did that made no tactical sense in order to make political sense, I think would blow people's minds apart.
Yeah, and it would be infuriating, I bet, to look at from the outside.
People would go bananas.
Yeah,
bananas.
Piss me off so bad.
Absolute bananas. It's that's why when people talk about just the stuff that I've
52?
seen personally with like civilian casualties and different things, like, dude, if people had any idea, you know what I mean, of just the absolute insanity of how much risk we put ourselves under for catering to really the enemy, it would, and we're doing it today. We always do it.
It's always going to be part of it.
And that's the thing. You gotta, at a certain level, you gotta accept that's just part of the job. As crappy as it is, it's reality.
Poor craftsman blames his tools, pal.
Oh.
The fuck's this?
Caretaker. Knows the place inside out.
Oh, it's all wrong.
No.
You mean it's all wrong?
Here, it does not open this way.
What?
And this, the door is on the other side. Here, you will end up in a cupboard.
Oh, that would piss me off. But it's just part of it. It's another thing they have to roll with, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, how far did they get? You have the mini scale that somebody sat there and hand taped and hand made based on the blueprints of the building. Mm-hmm. And then that got approved. And then they went to the full scale. And then that got approved. And now the tier 1 operators are running over and over and over full mission profile. Like they're ready to go based on this. And then somebody walks in and goes, no, it was wrong 5 steps ago, 100 hours ago, thousands and thousands of dollars ago.
Yeah.
And you just missed it. Ouch.
Yeah.
Roll with the punches,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Just that flexibility and it's.
He could easily start yelling at whoever made the, but that's not going to help him.
No, I mean, at that point, it's just like with everything. It is what it is, and you just got to keep moving forward.
Enough for all of us.
One bus, all right.
How is it?
It's a lot better, I'll tell you that much. Look at this as an overview.
That's great.
All right, pause. So I just thought that was interesting that they just something as simple as hanging C4 and then lowering it down to a predetermined spot for a distraction charge.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't always have to be so complicated, right? It's just common sense. If this will work, send it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I just thought that was cool because I've never seen anybody hang C4 down like that to blow up the side of the building, and especially since you're just standing on it.
Yeah.
Like, hope you didn't use P for plenty on that one. Because otherwise the whole building's coming down and you're going down with it.
See window and climbing back over the balcony to their side. A second explosion has ripped through the front of the embassy. Fucking shut it down!
Murphy's Law, huh?
Yep. Changing the plan.
Changing the plan is of all the runs they've done and all the workup they've done, As soon as it goes live, something goes wrong. It's just how it freaking goes, man. And he goes to zip line, something, rappel, something he's probably done a million times and could do in his sleep. And then something breaks and his rappel line is working.
The flashbang caught the curtain on fire.
Flashbang caught the curtain on fire. His rappel line got stuck, right?
Yeah.
Like, how would that even happen? It's just one of his the mechanism sticks.
Yeah, it could. It's happened to me actually before on a window breach.
Really?
So, yeah.
So you've had this exact situation before?
Not exact, but I have had
something close.
Yeah, an issue with my descender on a window breach on a building, so it can happen.
Well, it's equipment, and equipment's gonna fail, and of course it happens right then. And then he throws the bang, and then it lights the curtain on fire, which then lights him on fire.
Yeah.
So now his leg's on fire. He's stuck hanging, and he can't rappel down, so they have to cut him down. Lands, drops 6 feet to his back. And what does this gangster do? Gets up with third-degree burns on his legs, and then pushes back into the objective to finish the job and to get it done. That was so
Yeah, there's some great
sick.
personal stories in this.
That malfunction would break my heart.
I don't know if this. I don't think this happened in real life. We'd have to look it up.
You think they maybe added that part?
I think they added this.
A little suspense. I can't imagine.
It's a highly unusual,
right? But guys, keep in mind with your weapon systems. With our weapon systems, that first round is 99.9999% going off.
Yeah.
You may have follow-on malfunctions,
which is a problem of feeding or extracting. But,
right.
But that would be a bad either a light strike or a bad primer, which is
very rare.
Pretty rare. Yeah.
Like we go through so much ammunition, it almost always goes off. The only thing that has to happen is your hammer gets released, hits your firing pin, and like Tyler said, you get a light strike to where that firing pin hits the primer and just you have a bad primer in your round. That's so rare. It's typically more often or not that you get a double feed or something like that. So you're at least going to get that first round that counts off.
Yeah. I assume this was inserted dramatically.
Yeah, but because it definitely made it feel dramatic.
Yeah, exactly. Because you got to get a hand fight.
Yeah, he got his secondary. He barely dodged that shot. Just highly unlikely. Another thing I saw in this that I would question is, would you go full auto on a 9mm, like on an MP5?
Yeah, actually, that's funny you say that. Yeah, when I used an MP5, I went full auto, and they did go full auto in MP5s back in the day. Everyone did. Personally, I'm a big fan of full auto. People rip on it, semi-auto, and semi-auto is for those, in my opinion, who can't control full auto. If you can control full auto, it's faster. That's not debatable. You know what I mean? It's faster. Why would I use semi-auto if I can shoot full auto and control it? But again, that's not a popular opinion. That's just me.
Well, I think so you're just, but then that comes in your training, because if you're shooting full auto in training, then your mag changes are going to be just quicker. You're going to be, that you're getting to your mag change faster.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if you're shooting, 8 rounds, per engagement, it's a lot of trigger pulling. Whereas if I'm shooting a burst of 5 rounds from full auto, look, if people dropped with 2 rounds, then semi-auto makes sense, but they don't.
They don't.
They don't.
They don't with 5.56.
That's what I'm saying.
9
so 5.56, you're using at least 6 rounds per person. So for me, I just shoot a burst of full auto.
That's a really good point. I like that. I've watched the guy run, and I sat there and just he fell, and I was like, finally, popped his ass right back up. Golly,
if you can't control full auto, then which is where it originated from, but at the special operations level, personally, I'm a fan of now I shoot, when I have full auto now where I can shoot full auto as controlled as I would shoot semi-automatic because I know how to control it. And I'm like, well, it's faster. So
I love that. That's a unique perspective, and I like it.
Not something that is people will argue with it, but That's cool.
Well, I think most of the people that put out a lot of content are civilians who are really good shooters, but also keep in mind that they're having to pay for their ammo.
Yes.
And that could become a factor into why they would prefer semi-auto versus full.
Well, semi-auto also came from, back in the, when you're doing, I mean, again, I was in a counterterrorist unit. So semi-auto is also allowing you to be more accountable for each round. So I totally get that. So maybe in a CT mission, I would be on semi-auto. But if I was in a mission that didn't have hostages and I'm shooting going again, which was the vast majority of targets, just bad guys, I don't need to shoot semi-auto. I can shoot full auto.
Let them have it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've been against full auto, an AK at full auto.
Terrifying.
Terrifying, right? so why not give a little bit more back rather than, especially when you're shooting semi-auto suppressed, tick, 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 tick. It's not scary to them,
Oh, so cool.
The pen's in! All right!
That was one of the dopest scenes I think I've ever seen. It's
pretty sweet.
That was sick, dude.
Yeah,
The
it was pretty
eye-to-eye
sweet.
contact, and then just doof, 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 doof.
Yep.
None of this like, oh, he doesn't have a gun on him right now. None of this bullshit. Like, no, he's a terrorist. He's trying to escape, and you're not letting it happen.
So I will say this is a true story.
That happened?
That happened. I don't
That's so
know
sick.
exactly that way, but it's 100% true that one of the terrorists tried to sneak out with the hostages. That is 100% true.
So in they showed two. So one got out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one got
Okay.
all the way to the lawn, and they were walking up, and they're like, X-ray, X-ray. And they got him. And then he caught him.
No, I think one got caught and killed. Maybe they both happened, but I'm pretty sure one got caught trying to sneak out and killed.
Yeah.
I'd have to relook it up, but I think
So
obviously
sick.
I doubt it happened exactly that way. But
Yeah.
but yeah, and I think the only person, if I'm not mistaken, that died in this was a guy that got killed in a closet. The terrorist just shot the door of the closet and killed the guy. I think that's the only hostage that died in this. Again, it's been a while. I'd have to look it up, but
I just love that scene because then it just shows like all his studying of their faces and
yeah, no,
everything.
it's a great scene. It's a great. It's just great. It's
Awesome.
done very well.
Cool. Well, Tyler's got to go, and we appreciate you guys. Thank you for checking out the FNG Academy Beers and Breakdowns. Thank you, Tyler, for being with us again
dude,
today.
Always a pleasure.
And we came up with a new show idea while
Yes.
we're filming a show.
Yes.
Look at that.
Trademark, copyright.
Trademark, copyright,
Patent.
can't copy it. If you try to copy it, we're going to come at you and call you a loser
Yeah.
publicly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one's going to care, but we're still going to do it. But
No,
don't worry
we're-
about that
We're
because
gonna do the show
because
We're
we
gonna-
got
we're gonna
cameras,
do it.
we got a crew, we got everything we need. We don't need to go ask anybody for permission, and we're going to make this show, and it's going to be awesome. So if you guys want to see Tyler Gray and I hosting a show going over all the craziest CQB situations
Famous
throughout
raids
history,
in history.
famous raids in history. That's a dope title. Too.
Sounds
that
good.
That sounds really
Patent,
good.
trademark.
Patent, trademark.
Copyright.
It's ours. Again. Then hit us in the comment section below. We're coming up with fire right now, people. If you want to see that, put it in the comment section. And also, you guys make sure that nobody copies us. If you see anyone coming close, you get after them in the
Sick 'em.
comments. And you sick them. Thank you, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.
Thanks, guys.